In the beginning of drama, the female lead Gui Xiao is shown who is casually overhearing some news about her first love. Liu Yanqin. He had been working as a SWAT officer in a remote border area. But she hadn't expected their encounter to come so suddenly. Before Gui Xiao could process her emotions, Yanqin's teammates gathered around them. He exchanged a few words with them and got into a car without hesitation, not even sparing Gui Xiao a backward glance. However, his eyes lingered in the rearview mirror, where he saw Gui Xiao watching his car depart. Back home, she called Huang Ting and said that she had run into Huang Ting's cousin. She even asked for his phone number. Their relationship had begun 11 years ago, during their student days, a time of innocent and shy emotions. Reflecting on those days, Gui Xiao was overcome with nostalgia. But Huang Ting's words echoed in her ears. Don't forget how cruel she was to him during those years. That night, Yanqin quietly drove to Gui Xiao's apartment. When Huang Ting called to invite him for dinner, he declined, saying he'd catch an early train the following day. Huang Ting mentioned Gui Xiao, wondering aloud if she would contact him. Watching Gui Xiao plucking grapes, he couldn't help but smile. 2 years later, Gui Xiao had a trip to Chinning City and found trouble. She dialed the number she'd gotten 2 years earlier. When Yanqin answered, her voice caught him off guard, but he immediately asked for her location. Soon enough, he arrived. Gui Xiao and her friends got in, and just like before, Yanqin always drove with the windows open regardless of the season. Gui Xiao pulled her coat tighter and asked him to close it. Their car had been stolen, and they had planned to report it to the police. However, she decided to call him instead. He stayed silent most of the drive, his taciturn nature prompting Gui Xiao's friends to complain that he was too cold. But Gui Xiao knew he'd always been like this. Yanqin quickly found their car. After thanking him, she asked a few questions about his life. Yanqin handed them over to the police and departed without a single word to Gui Xiao. During questioning, she learned that Yanqin was now a trainer specializing in bomb disposal and often worked on the front lines of counter-terrorism missions. His exploits sure make a great TV drama. Gui Xiao's friends wanted to thank Yanqin with a meal, but Gui Xiao declined because he wasn't fond of such gatherings. Undeterred, Kai Ya called him directly and he agreed. When he arrived, he brought a little boy named Xiao Nan, whom he had picked up for a colleague. Gui Xiao and her friends mistakenly thought he was Yanqin's son. The misunderstanding seemed reasonable, and Gui Xiao quickly excused herself, claiming she needed the restroom to calm her nerves. Outside, she ran into Yanqin and Mingyu. She learned that Yanqin had recently submitted his resignation letter and was debating whether to return to Beijing. Gui Xiao felt relieved after knowing that the boy was Mingyu's son. At the dinner, Mingyu lightened the mood, as Yanqin's frosty demeanor might have frozen the atmosphere entirely without him. After the meal, Mingyu suggested that Yanqin drive Gui Xiao home. While retrieving his car, a group of armed thugs suddenly appeared. He quickly secured her in a safe spot and effortlessly subdued the attackers. Still dazed, Gui Xiao could only watch as he stood before her, calm and unscathed. He was about to reach out and brush the snow off her hair but stopped. The police took away the gang, who had sought to avenge a thwarted car theft before. Yanqin then drove Gui Xiao and her friends home. And so, their paths intertwined once more in ways neither could have foreseen. Yanqin drove Gui Xiao home, maintaining his usual cold demeanor. Aside from curt exchanges of, thank you, and, goodbye, he said nothing else. The moment Gui Xiao stepped out of the car, she heard the engine roar and the car drive off, leaving her disappointed. The next day, Gui Xiao's friend asked if she and Yanqin had ever been involved. Gui Xiao awkwardly brushed it off, saying they were just schoolmates. Yanqin was transferred to Tianwen City, not far from Beijing. His superiors urged him to accept the assignment, saying it was time to take the first step forward. However, instead of successfully resigning as he had intended, Yanqin was unexpectedly promoted. The so-called achievement seemed to weigh him down further, leaving him brooding and melancholic. Mingyu and their teammates planned a farewell party for Yanqin. During the gathering, Xiao Nan drew a portrait of Gui Xiao, sparking a flurry of gossip among the group. The team playfully insisted that Yanqin should act as a proper host, especially since first loves are sacred. Yanqin glared silently at Xiao Nan, who was guiltily shrinking in a corner. Gui Xiao received a call from Mingyu, who her friend had recently given her number. He asked her to join Yanqin's farewell party, even following up with another call to emphasize the importance of her presence. When Gui Xiao arrived at the gathering, she hesitated at the door. then mustering her courage. But when Yanchen spotted her, his response was as icy as ever. He said, "What does she want?" Gui Xiao bristled at his tone, retorting, "If you hadn't called me, I wouldn't be here." Confused, Yanchen called over his teammate, who sheepishly admitted to imitating Yanchen's voice, a skill he had perfected for undercover missions. Feeling hurt by Yanchen's indifference, Gui Xiao decided to storm out, leaving him behind. Later, Kai Ya shared a revelation. She had learned from Mingyu that Yanchen's former captain had passed away just a week ago. This person helped him a lot in his work. That's why he broke down and quit his job. Yanchen decided to beg Gui Xiao and Kai Ya to help him find a good school in Beijing for Xiao Nan. After some hesitation, she decided to stay and discuss it thoroughly. After listening to Mingyu's story, she sympathized with Xiao Nan's current situation. She agreed to help them with the transfer procedures. Late at night, Gui Xiao called him. She had already worked out arrangements for Xiao Nan's stay in Beijing. Emotional, he was about to say something but quickly stopped and hung up. Mingyu noted the tension between the two and privately encouraged Yanchen to take a chance with Gui Xiao. But Yanchen's face darkened with quiet sorrow. Early in the morning, Kai Ya woke Gui Xiao up, saying that Yanchen's group had arrived. She hurriedly opened the door to find Xiao Nan standing alone outside. Xiao Nan explained that Yanchen and Mingyu were waiting downstairs to see her off. Gui Xiao quickly put on her coat and went down, looking toward Yanchen with anticipation. However, he remained cold-faced, saying nothing and doing nothing. Perceptive as ever, Xiao Nan helped her open the car door. As they passed the border, Gui Xiao brought up the past and asked if the photo he sent her that year was in this place. Yanchen denied it, saying he'd take her to see it the next time she came to Jining. Gui Xiao smiled, wondering when that next time might be. For Yanchen, having lived here for over a decade, this place must feel like home. After closing the small room door, Yanchen quietly told Gui Xiao that Mingyu felt guilty for delaying his ex-wife. So he gave her a large sum of money during their divorce. Mingyu had to support his child and parents, leaving him financially strained. Suddenly, Xiao Nan flung the door open, startling Gui Xiao and causing her to bump her head. Their close proximity made Xiao Nan misunderstand. Xiao Nan's household registration was still with his mother, which posed some complications. Gui Xiao looked at Xiao Nan with newfound sympathy. This kid was quite pitiful. Yanchen took them to the airport, telling Gui Xiao he'd return to Beijing after the new year. Mingyu didn't come to see his son off since he was on a mission, which made Xiao Nan sad. Gui Xiao brought Xiao Nan back to her rented apartment. He found a 100 yuan bill in his wallet and handed it to her, asking her to buy him some daily necessities. Gui Xiao decided to skip overtime for a while to care for him. She returned with plenty of items, fibbing that everything was 90% off, which made Xiao Nan pout. After bidding farewell to his friends, Yanchen boarded the train and returned to Beijing. Upon arrival, he went to his Beijing home and planned to buy clothes before visiting his ailing mother in the hospital. In the car, Xiao Nan told Gui Xiao about the times Yanchen had done dangerous missions, which made her feel admiration. Curious, the boy asked her about the first time they met. She began to think back to her high school days. Gui Xiao went to a friend's house to play, and she met Yanchen there. This was the first time they got to know each other. They had a chance to play billiards together. However, he did not give her a chance to show off. Gui Xiao was embarrassed and left, and it was a long time before she saw him again. After meeting Huang Ting, she learned that he had skipped the college entrance exam. He had secretly enrolled in the police academy. His father was so angry that he locked him in the garage for 3 days. His second aunt saw this and secretly released him. But by then the college entrance exam had already ended. One day, Gui Xiao attended a gathering for Haidong's birthday, hoping to see Yanchen. Sure enough, he was there. They had dinner at Yanchen's rent, with a table full of dishes he had personally prepared. Although he seemed pleased to see her, his expression remained as stoic as ever. Yanchen faced his father's wrath after hosting a dinner for friends. He quickly locked the door and shielded Gui Xiao, saying his girlfriend was here. Yanchen's uncles eventually persuaded his father to leave. He apologized to Gui Xiao, admitting he hadn't thought before speaking. They decided to stay put for a while, she idly flipping through papers on his desk. She stumbled upon some notes that revealed Yanchen's deep aspirations. Later, she locked the door and waited for him to check the situation outside. When he didn't return, she went to find him and saw him sitting alone. Visibly desperate, concerned, she asked if he needed to go to the hospital. Yanchen assured her he was fine and instead loaded her bike into his car, insisting on driving her home. He had already gotten his driver's license during the summer when he skipped the college entrance exam. When they arrived at her home, Gui Xiao asked if he planned to repeat his studies. His positive answer made her happy. He would be registering tomorrow. Only after going upstairs did Gui Xiao realize, how did he know her address? Gui Xiao was lost in thought that summer in the neighboring classroom and missed seeing Yan Chen. Meanwhile, Hai Dong and Xiao Shan broke up, and Xiao Shan accused him of being ambiguous with Minchen. Gui Xiao and Yan Chen went to mediate. She witnessed Hai Dong attempting a dramatic reconciliation kiss. The scene was both awkward and intriguing. Later, Huang Ting mentioned that she and Yan Chen were at the hospital with her grandmother, asking if Gui Xiao wanted to join them. When Yan Chen saw her, he stepped outside, asking bluntly if she liked him. Gui Xiao shyly scolded him. What kind of question was that? She couldn't help but take his hand. Yan Chen told her he would go to a police school in another city and couldn't visit often. Gui Xiao nodded and agreed on one rule. Now that they were together, they couldn't break up. Gui Xiao swore she would cry out in front of him if he dared to break up. That summer, they spent a lot of time together. Gui Xiao felt a bit down when she received her college acceptance letter. If he had confessed to her sooner, they might have ended up in the same city. By then, Xiao Shan and Hai Dong had long broken up. Xiao Shan's new boyfriend, Qin Feng, owned an internet cafe. Only Gui Xiao and Yan Chen were still together in their circle of student romances. Xiao Shan hoped they could make it work. During winter break, Yan Chen returned to Beijing but stayed at a repair shop since there was no room at home. The silver lining was that Gui Xiao could visit him anytime and enjoyed watching him fix cars. One day, they were lying under a blanket watching a movie together. When a romantic scene came on, the atmosphere turned awkward. To lighten the mood, Gui Xiao mentioned how annoying it was that people at school kept pestering her. She wished Yan Chen were there. In response, he leaned in close and, in a low voice, told her, if anyone chases you again, just tell them you have a boyfriend. They shared an intense, lingering kiss before he suddenly got up, saying he needed to buy something. Gui Xiao was left dazed for a while. When he returned with groceries, she insisted on watching him cook, her eyes full of admiration for him. That vacation, Gui Xiao often visited the repair shop. Sometimes, she would quietly watch him working on cars, finding it oddly enjoyable. Before leaving Beijing, Yan Chen bid an emotional goodbye to Gui Xiao, who repeatedly reminded him to call her whenever he had time. Returning to the present, Gui Xiao tucked Xiao Nan into bed. Minchen visited Yan Chen's mother, and Hai Dong noticed her strange demeanor, remarking that she was calculative. He had suffered at her hands before. During a meal, Hai Dong learned that Yan Chen's father had borrowed money from Zhao's family and wanted Yan Chen to marry Minchen. Unsurprisingly, Yan Chen was opposed to the idea. Gui Xiao was preparing for a 2-day business trip and wanted to notify Yan Chen, but she deleted it before sending it. A classmate called, saying that Yan Chen and Zhao Minchen were planning to get married. With the Zhao family already making preparations, Gui Xiao was overwhelmed with a mix of sadness and bitterness. When Yan Chen called back, she didn't answer. She was too afraid it might all be true. When she finally mustered the courage to answer, she braced herself for the worst. However, he only called to ask her to handle something for him. He recalled their past phone calls, filled with mundane chatter that eventually turned cold, leaving him melancholy. The next morning, Gui Xiao packed Xiao Nan's luggage and went to the repair shop, a place she hadn't visited in years. Her emotions were a jumble of nostalgia and unease. She told Yan Chen she would be away for a long time but that her cousin would help Xiao Nan settle in at school. Suddenly, Yan Chen turned to her and asked, "Do you still love me?" The scene mirrored his confession years ago. Gui Xiao didn't answer. Instead, she asked if he was getting married. Yan Chen admitted it. Calmly, she congratulated him, patted Xiao Nan's head, and left. At that moment, Zhao Minchen entered. Recognizing Gui Xiao, she warmly invited her to stay for a meal, but she declined. Holding back tears, she got into her car. Distracted, she accidentally backed the car into the wall. The security guard suggested she repair it there, but she only wanted to leave now. Xiao Nan furiously called Yan Chen heartless, completely ignoring Minchen's presence nearby. With reddened eyes, Gui Xiao pulled over and called Xiao Shan, who rushed over. Minchen's divorce had been a public scandal, leaving her family eager for her to remarry to restore their reputation. After all these years, they finally saw Yan Chen as a perfect match and wanted to celebrate the wedding extravagantly. Xiao Shan comforted her, telling her not to cry over a first love from 10 years ago. Who hasn't had a first love? When Yan Chen feels troubled, he often retreats to working under a car, finding solace in the silence. But this time, a sudden realization struck him, and he hurriedly jumped into his car to chase after Gui Xiao. On the way, he encountered Xiao Shan's car but didn't see Gui Xiao. It turned out Xiao Shan had taken Gui Xiao out for a meal. Thoughts of Yan Chen consumed her. She had thought his request for her help was a sign of reconciliation. But he was about to get married. Xiao Shan revealed that Hai Dong had recently borrowed money from none other than Yan Chen. Apparently, Yan Chen's parents had borrowed money from Minchen's family to expand their factory. When relations soured, the Zhao family proposed an engagement between the two families to settle the debt. Yan Chen had been kept in the dark about the arrangement and immediately began borrowing money to repay the debt when he found out. He even sought help from Qin Feng to mediate and attempted to negotiate a way out of the engagement. However, the Zhao family demanded 1 million yuan, which was a public reason to cancel the wedding. Yan Chen had drained his savings from the past decade and was now burdened with debts that would take another 40 years to repay. She urged Gui Xiao to think carefully, emphasizing that the decision was in her hands this time. Gui Xiao's thoughts drifted as she pondered the situation. Over the years, she had never liked anyone else. She thought to herself that if she missed this chance, she might never bother with marriage. Yan Chen called Xiao Shan, asking if Gui Xiao was with her. Xiao Shan spoke her mind, questioning whether he truly wanted to reconcile and warning him to think carefully about the impact of family problems. She reminded him they were no longer kids and couldn't afford to repeat past mistakes. Meanwhile, Minchin was unhappy about Xiao Nan staying with Yan Chen but ignored her protests. Determined to see Gui Xiao, he visited Xiao Shan's home. Xiao Shan encouraged Gui Xiao to listen to what he said. She wanted to help the two reconcile. And Yan Chen didn't disappoint. Yan Chen asked Gui Xiao for some time, just a little longer. Finally, she smiled. After saying only a few words, Yan Chen quickly left to care for Xiao Nan. Back at home, Xiao Nan was still sulking. He liked Aunt Gui Xiao and didn't hide his feelings. Yan Chen sternly told him that liking his future wife was completely inappropriate. Xiao Nan understood what he said and felt happy. Before leaving for Tianwen City for work, Yan Chen gave Xiao Nan detailed instructions, telling him to seek help from the elders at the factory or Hai Dong if he ran into trouble, but under no circumstances should he bother Gui Xiao. Now working as a bomb disposal expert, Yan Chen quickly earned a reputation for his rigorous training methods. As the team's devil instructor, he drilled new recruits intensely, including exercises in 70-pound bomb disposal suits. The recruits respected his dedication. After training, Yan Chen visited the supermarket to buy some items. The townspeople assumed they were gifts for his future in-laws, as the Zhao family had already spread news of the wedding far and wide. However, the items were meant for his sister. Growing up, Yan Chen always shielded his sister from their father's temper. Now, tensions rise over the engagement with Minchin. Lu Tong feels deeply guilty and ashamed. After dropping her off at home, Yan Chen headed to Xiao Shan's restaurant to handle the Minchin situation. At the dinner table, his father bragged as usual. But the Zhao family remained cold and distant. Qin Feng and Xiao Shan acted as mediators. When Yan Chen arrived, he stood firm on his decision to cancel the engagement. This enraged his father. Qin Feng intervened and diffused the situation. And Xiao Shan suggested that Yan Chen and Minchin have a private conversation. Minchin admitted she genuinely wanted to get married, arguing that their families were already intertwined, and after so much effort, they should settle down and have children. But Yan Chen stood his ground, explaining that Xiao Nan would need to stay with him for at least 5 or 6 years, making marriage impossible. Meanwhile, his mother secretly apologized to Minchin and invited her to the factory for dinner over the weekend, hoping to mend relations. On Gui Xiao's end, her boss, Wu Chengye, who used to work under her father, was clearly interested in her. But Gui Xiao's attention was elsewhere. As she texted Yan Chen throughout the evening, their brief messages brought a spark of joy to both. Xiao Shan asked Hai Dong to convey a message to Minchin, urging her to reconsider the engagement for her own sake. With her qualifications, Minchin could easily remarry someone better suited and didn't need to keep dragging this out. She seemed to waver, and Hai Dong left with a hopeful smile. With the Lunar New Year approaching, Yan Chen couldn't return home for the holiday due to his work commitments. One evening, Gui Xiao called. She mentioned that Xiao Nan's teacher wanted to meet the child's guardians. It would fall on the two of them. She also told him she'd be returning the next day. Yan Chen asked her to send him her flight details so he could pick her up. Before picking Gui Xiao up from the airport, Yan Chen was assigned to care for a young police dog, adding a new responsibility to his busy schedule. When Gui Xiao landed, she first met up with her friend, Dr. Xu. Yan Chen showed up unannounced. Dr. Xu quickly understood and gave them privacy, knowing he'd be working through the New Year holiday. Yan Chen wished Gui Xiao a Happy New Year in advance as he dropped her off at home. They planned to meet Xiao Nan's homeroom teacher on the 8th day of the lunar year. Until then, Yan Chen resolved to fully dedicate himself to his duties during the holiday season. The busiest time for law enforcement. The intense demands of the job during the Lunar New Year reminded him of 2016, when he had just been promoted to squad leader. That year, he encountered a live bomb while on duty, a memory etched deeply in his mind. Especially since Gui Xiao happened to be in the same city at the time. However, his focus quickly shifted to a more pressing danger, a bomb discovered at the venue. After evacuating the crowd, he approached the device alone in his bomb suit. Among the evacuated, Gui Xiao had no idea Yan Chen was there, much less the peril he faced. At the time, they had already broken up. Back to reality. After completing his mission, Yan Chen opened his phone to find a string of messages from Gui Xiao. By the 8th day, he had returned to the repair shop. His father stormed in, scolding him as usual, but upon hearing that Yan Chen intended to repay the Zhao family's debt, he quickly ignored himself from the situation. Before heading to see Gui Xiao, he went to sign a repayment agreement with Minshen. She expressed that she truly wanted to marry him, but Yan Chen paid her no mind. His feelings for her were non-existent. Zhao Shan reminded her to understand the situation and warned against dragging things out further. Yan Chen arrived at Gui Xiao's aunt's house to pick her up. The house had hardly changed over the years, but Gui Xiao seemed pensive. Her younger cousin and his wife were waiting downstairs, greeting him with admiration. At the homeroom teacher's home, a young girl there excitedly recognized Yan Chen. She recounted how he had once saved her and her classmates during a severe storm. However, he barely remembered the incident. As they left the teacher's home, Yan Chen casually mentioned that he had resolved the issue with Minshen. He then strongly wrapped his arm around Gui Xiao's shoulders. But before anything could happen, her cousin honked the car horn, interrupting the moment. They went to a restaurant for a meal. While it was agreed that Gui Xiao would treat them, Yan Chen secretly paid the bill. When Gui Xiao noticed, she asked for the receipt. Knowing his financial situation, her heart grew heavier. Back at the repair shop, Hai Dong and Hai Jianfeng showed up. And during their conversation, Jianfeng learned for the first time that Yan Chen and Gui Xiao had a history, and that they were now back together. As the conversation turned nostalgic, Yan Chen brought up the breakup with Gui Xiao. He remembered how she had insisted on ending things without explanation. Back then, he had taken an impromptu trip back to Beijing but chose not to go home, spending the night at the train station before leaving again the next day. He had messaged Gui Xiao, asking to meet, but she had only replied with 2 words, "Forget it." The next day, Gui Xiao visited under the pretext of checking on Xiao Nan, but Yan Chen had already sent the boy off to go fishing with others. She took in Yan Chen's house, noticing how much cleaner and tidier it was compared to the chaotic state she remembered years ago. Yan Chen wrapped an arm around her, confessing that when he first saw her at the gas station, he didn't dare believe it was her. Just as Yan Chen leaned in to kiss her, Xiao Nan rushed back, eager to see Gui Xiao. Breaking the moment, Yan Chen sighed, then took Xiao Nan to buy groceries, leaving Gui Xiao behind to read. While alone, Yan Chen's mother suddenly appeared, and Gui Xiao introduced herself as a classmate. His mother, however, seemed uneasy and started fussing with his bed sheets, prompting Gui Xiao to excuse herself. Meanwhile, she couldn't help but think about Yan Chen's mother and how much she seemed to want her son to return home. She stayed close to Yan Chen, enjoying the rare sweet moments they had together. As Yan Chen cooked, Hai Dong shared stories about his family. He described how Yan Chen's father was a drunkard. When asked about their current relationship, Gui Xiao claimed they were just ordinary friends. Later, Hai Dong, who had been drinking, revealed an embarrassing truth. Jian Feng had admired Gui Xiao since their first year of middle school and still kept a photo of her by his bedside. He pulled the photo out, handing it to Gui Xiao to save face. But Yan Chen's jealousy was evident. The night ended with Yan Chen driving Gui Xiao home. Xiao Shan welcomed them back, relieved to see Gui Xiao safe. She joked about how their relationship felt as innocent as it did when they were younger. Sharing a bed, she cautioned Gui Xiao about interacting with Yan Chen's parents, warning that they could be difficult. Although Gui Xiao agreed to take things slowly, she couldn't help but call Yan Chen later, lamenting that she hadn't stayed with him longer. It turned out he hadn't gone far, he was still in his car outside. Seeing him wave from the roof, she felt a warmth in her heart as he drove away. The following day, Yan Chen arrived with breakfast, ready to take Gui Xiao to her class. He explained that he would soon return to his unit for a classified mission, meaning he couldn't use his phone or share details about his work. Gui Xiao understood all of this, she knew his responsibilities and limitations. With Yan Chen gone, she threw herself into her work. During a business trip, her father unexpectedly called. He happened to be at the same airport. They barely exchanged a few words. With his father offering to help her buy a car or a house, proposals Gui Xiao brushed off. Eager to leave, sensing her discomfort, Duan Ru pretended to receive an urgent call and whisked Gui Xiao away. Meanwhile, Yan Chen was immersed in intense training with his team, known for excelling in all exercises. His teammates were curious why he chose such a dangerous role as a bomb disposal expert. His answer was simple: someone has to do it. Back in the city, Gui Xiao and Duan Ru were swamped with work. She got a call from a teacher about Xiao Nan. Hai Dong was tied up with work and far from Xiao Nan's school, so she offered to look after the boy for the week, even helping him with homework. The next morning, Duan Ru was woken by Xiao Nan's phone, which Mingyu had called. Embarrassed to find Duan Ru answering, he thanked her for caring for his son. Later, he called Yan Chen, urging him to take Gui Xiao out for dinner on his behalf as a token of gratitude. Yan Chen wasted no time heading to Gui Xiao's office, offering to take Xiao Nan out while she finished her day. When Gui Xiao came home from work, she found dinner ready and Yan Chen napping on the couch. Hearing her footsteps, he quickly reheated the food and served her. After dinner, she handed over the corrected homework for Yan Chen to review with Xiao Nan. He invited Gui Xiao to spend the weekend together, including meeting Xiao Shan. The next day, at the repair shop, Yan Chen's father disrupted their peaceful moment. Gui Xiao couldn't resist teasing him about his past. Late at night, Yan Chen took Gui Xiao to Xiao Shan's home but stayed to bid her a playful goodbye. Standing on his car roof like last time, he then suggested an impromptu trip to Qining, his second hometown, to see the snowfields, sunsets, and his friends. She immediately agreed. When Gui Xiao shared her travel plans with Duan Ru, her colleague offered to look after Xiao Nan. Excited by the opportunity, a single woman who adored children, Duan Ru also asked for Mingyu's contact information for easier coordination. Before Gui Xiao left, Xiao Shan half-jokingly advised her to be safe during her trip. Embarrassed, she dodged further comments as Yan Chen drove off. Along the way, Yan Chen revealed he would clear his debts within 2 years and promised to marry her then. She couldn't stop smiling and eagerly waiting for that day to come. Upon arriving at the resort, Yan Chen's friend warmly greeted them. Over dinner, Sun Hao animatedly shared stories of Yan Chen's bravery, including where he was injured while shielding others. Gui Xiao hesitated at the room's door, asking how many beds it had. He immediately kissed her deeply and then slowly walked into the room. During a tender moment, Gui Xiao noticed scars on his body. He took her hand, explaining calmly that injuries were routine for SWAT officers. Although emotions are running high, he decided not to proceed and returned to Sun Hao's room. The next morning, she awoke early to the cold. Finding Yan Chen in the courtyard sipping milk tea, he held her close as they watched the sunrise, its gentle glow painting the horizon. He remarked how the scene reminded him of her name, which meant dawn. While they dined at a quaint restaurant, his phone rang. It was Gui Xiao's father. Mr. Gui voiced his disapproval of their relationship. He believed Yan Chen's family history and circumstances would inevitably bring Gui Xiao trouble. Now that they were considering marriage, he urged Yan Chen to consider the implications for both families. Handing the phone to Gui Xiao, Yan Chen silently let her handle the conversation. She firmly defended Yan Chen, declaring that it was her who had relentlessly pursued him. Ending the call, she hugged him from behind, brushing off the heavy snowfall that had settled on his shoulders. The two silently moved past the tension brought on by the call. Before leaving, he visited the graves of a few fallen comrades. including a young orphaned recruit he had mentored and his former captain. Sun Hao revealed that Yan Chen carried unresolved guilt and always came to these graves alone to talk through his feelings. On the drive back, Yan Chen reminisced about a brief visit to Beijing, where everything had felt alien, as if he and Gui Xiao came from different worlds. While enjoying the snowy scenery, their car tire suddenly blew out. As Yan Chen crouched to repair it, Gui Xiao mischievously leaned in for a kiss. He pulls her into his arms, both collapsing into the snow, savoring the quiet intimacy. Once they reached Qining, Yan Chen arranged a comfortable hotel for Gui Xiao, promising to return soon after a visit to his team. At the station, he learned that an ongoing case involving a car smuggling ring had escalated into something more sinister. The suspects were planning a large-scale act of social retaliation. As the officer in charge, he had no choice but to lead the operation, leaving no time to inform Gui Xiao. Back at the hotel, Gui Xiao waited for him, growing increasingly anxious as hours passed. When one of Yan Chen's teammates knocked on her door and nervously handed over an item from Yan Chen before rushing off, her worry only deepened. Donning his bomb suit, he prepared to enter a crowded mall where the suspects had set up explosives. His responsibility bore down on him, but his resolve remained unwavering. Holding the item Gao Hai delivered, Gui Xiao sat alone in the hotel room, silently willing for Yan Chen to return safely. The terrorists refused to disclose the detonation time, creating a ticking time bomb both figuratively and literally. Against all odds, he successfully disarmed the bomb just moments before the planned explosion, carefully removing the explosive and entrusting Mingyu with its safe disposal. Only then did he finally exhale in relief. He rushed back to the hotel and found Gui Xiao curled up on the bed, burning with fever. He immediately bought medicine and a thermometer, then stayed by her side, gently tending to her until she woke up. Seeing his care, her pent-up emotions overwhelmed her. Her tears fell uncontrollably as she listened to him recount the perilous mission. It was the first time she truly grasped the weight and danger of his work, and she had spent the entire night fearing for his life. Through tears, she made a bold declaration: they should get married as soon as they returned. She confessed her deep fear of losing him and her determination never to let him go again. Despite her family's objections and the challenges his family posed, she believed their decade-long journey back to each other was too precious to abandon. Meanwhile, Mingyu received a call from Beijing, expecting it to be Xiao Nan but hearing Duan Ru's voice instead. She informed him that Xiao Nan was at the doctor's and needed to confirm any allergy history. Unsure of the answer, Mingyu could only guess that there were none. She scolded him for his lack of attentiveness, leaving him anxious and flustered even after the call. However, Xiao Nan later messaged him, praising her as incredibly kind and slightly softening Mingyu's nerves. Gui Xiao informed her mother about their marriage decision and was met with warm blessings. As Yan Chen showered, she sat outside the bathroom door, softly asking him why he had left Qining in the first place. After a moment of hesitation, he admitted that losing his former captain weighed heavily on him. His captain had sacrificed himself during a mission where the intended victim had been him. Racked with guilt, he had resigned, believing his presence might endanger others. Heartbroken by his revelation, she reassured him with her quiet understanding. To lighten the mood, Yan Chen mentioned that his team was eager to meet her, determined to make a good impression. Gui Xiao accompanied him to the team's dining hall, where the officers eagerly awaited their chance to meet sister-in-law. True to Yan Chen's expectations, they didn't let him off easy. To their amusement, she rose to the challenge, taking off her jacket and agreeing to join Yan Chen in a 5-kilometer run to show she could keep up with their rigorous standards. Afterward, everyone went for a meal together at the dormitory. The landlord had rented the entire building to these single young men, and tonight, Gui Xiao would be staying in Yan Chen's room. The building had only male restrooms, and when she needed to use the bathroom, she felt a bit uncomfortable. He stood guard at the door, allowing her to relax. Back in the room, he tenderly touched Gui Xiao's face. Preparing to sleep, their superior suddenly knocked on the door. He was sincerely happy for Yan Chen and reminded him to treat Gui Xiao well. The leader's well wishes were heartfelt. The next morning, while Gui Xiao was still asleep, he ran and had a brief race with Mingyu. By the time he returned to the dorm, Gui Xiao should have been awake. He brought breakfast for Gui Xiao, her favorite meat buns, reminding her of years ago when she had mentioned that she had run out of living expenses and had craved meat buns. Meanwhile, the team had come to Yan Chen for advice on bomb disposal techniques, and he quickly got to work. leaving Gui Xiao to handle lunch on her own. She visited the restaurant from the previous day, where she met a fellow military wife. The other woman shared that her husband had been away for 3 years and that she was the one who frequently visited Qining, highlighting the sacrifices many military families face. Once Yan Chen finished his tasks, he took Gui Xiao to visit his late captain's family, bringing lots of food with him. The captain's wife was delighted to see them and chatted non-stop with Gui Xiao. When asked how they met, Gui Xiao shyly admitted it was love at first sight. During the meal, the captain's wife presented them with gold bracelets, saying they were prepared as a gift for Yan Chen. She spoke privately with Gui Xiao, explaining that her family situation shouldn't be blamed on him. She hoped Gui Xiao would understand Yan Chen, as growing up in such an environment yet maintaining a pure heart was no easy feat. Later, she asked Yan Chen to put the bracelets on Gui Xiao, watching them leave with a bittersweet smile. Without their own children, she and her late husband had treated Yan Chen as their son. Gui Xiao carefully packed away the bracelets, vowing to keep them safe. The time for Yan Chen's departure had come, and his teammates were visibly emotional. However, Yan Chen, always straightforward, didn't linger. That night, Gui Xiao struggled to sleep, staying awake to wait for him, worried he might feel too sad leaving Qining behind. He truly wanted to marry her and spend his life with her. The next day, they prepared to leave. Everyone was waiting outside to bid him farewell. Though the camaraderie was deep, Yan Chen wore sunglasses, showed no emotions. Reluctantly, he left his second hometown and returned to Beijing. Yan Chen took care of everything in Gui Xiao's apartment, cleaning, doing laundry, and cooking, just like when they were kids. Later, Yan Chen carried Gui Xiao, who had fallen asleep on the sofa, back to the bedroom. He wanted Gui Xiao to consider her decision carefully. Dating and marriage were different. His career meant he was often unreachable, rarely at home, and constantly faced danger. She assured him she understood. Their breakup years ago was due to youthful impulsiveness, but now she had matured. This time, she was steadfast in her decision to be a police officer's wife. Just then, Yan Chen received a phone call and had to leave abruptly. His father, drunk and causing a scene in public, required intervention, together with his sister, brother-in-law, and some help from the police. The situation was resolved. Yan Chen then confronted his father. As a school principal, his brother-in-law had a respectable position, and such incidents were disgraceful. Yan Chen asked his father if he felt no shame. Still not entirely sober, his father brushed off the criticism. Yan Chen seized the moment to announce his plans to marry. He clarified that who he married was not his father's concern but demanded that his father stay out of his life and future family. His father had only one request, that Yan Chen provide for him in his old age. He agreed on one condition: his father must treat his mother better. When Duan Ru called Mingyu, he suddenly became nervous, but the call ended before he could answer. She texted him afterward, saying it was nothing urgent and suggested adding each other on WeChat for easier communication. Duan Ru, curious about Mingyu's appearance, asked Gui Xiao about him. She described him as dark, thin, and surprisingly handsome. Their lighthearted conversation was interrupted when Gui Xiao's father arrived unexpectedly. That day, her mother also returned to country. Gui Xiao's mother asked her to pack her things and leave with her. She had returned to finalize divorce proceedings with Gui Xiao's father. Although he had wronged her in the past, he had been hoping for forgiveness and reconciliation all these years. However, her attitude toward him was cold and unyielding. As they talked, Gui Xiao offered to help her mother find a lawyer for the divorce, which surprised Duan Ru. She found it unbelievable that Gui Xiao not only didn't try to reconcile her parents but was actively helping with the divorce. The truth behind this situation was more complicated. Years ago, Gui Xiao's father had an affair and wanted to divorce her mother. This was one of the reasons for Gui Xiao's breakup with Yan Chen. At that time, she kept everything to herself, bottling it all up. She went to a phone booth to call Yan Chen, but he didn't answer. A mountain of small frustrations was slowly suffocating her. At that moment, Yan Chen was standing guard on duty. By the time he finished, it was midnight, and his phone was dead. Borrowing a charger from the gatekeeper, he called Gui Xiao back. Though she sounded upset, he didn't notice because he was exhausted and only had a few hours to sleep before his next shift. For 2 months, their phone conversations became increasingly strained. Long-distance relationships, without the ability to meet and resolve conflicts face-to-face, only deepened their misunderstandings. Disillusioned, Gui Xiao finally proposed breaking up. The constant cold wars after every fight were unbearable for both of them. On the other end, Yan Chen had no words and silently wept. Soon after, he was sent to a grueling training session in the snow mountains. As always, he stayed behind to ensure everyone else's safety. Even during breaks, he could only find a quiet corner to cry by himself. During that time, Gui Xiao also buried herself in her blanket and cried alone. As a child, she thought breakups weren't a big deal. But when Yan Chen agreed to the breakup, she realized she couldn't accept it either. If she hadn't met Yan Chen again, she might have thought she was fine on her own. Now, both have grown a lot in handling their relationship issues. At work, Yan Chen unexpectedly ran into Gui Xiao's father, an old classmate of his superior. After not seeing each other for a year, Gui Xiao's father found Yan Chen more impressive than he'd imagined. However, he still disapproved of their marriage. Citing the unsuitability of Yan Chen's job for family life, he resolved to use the time to prove their commitment. Yan Chen's superior shared that in police academy days, Gui Xiao's father had been injured during a mission and couldn't serve on the front lines. Yan Chen was now being assigned as an instructor to a new squad for at least a month. His superior advised him to talk to Gui Xiao, warning him that being a police officer's wife came with challenges right from the start. When he returned home, Gui Xiao had been waiting for over half an hour. She urged him to shower quickly, cherishing their time together despite understanding his work. After days apart, he missed her deeply. They shared a passionate moment in the bathroom. Later, Gui Xiao dragged Yan Chen out for a date. During dinner, he opened up about his complicated family history. Understanding his struggles only made Gui Xiao want to give him the love and warmth he deserved. As they strolled hand in hand, she snuggled against him, her lips playfully pursed. She slipped a ring into his mouth. Stunned, Yan Chen asked how much it cost. She didn't care about the cost but wanted him to have it so he wouldn't feel slighted by others. Understanding her sincerity, he gently put the ring on her hand. Later that night, she tearfully expressed her regret about initiating their breakup years ago. Her tears distressed Yan Chen, who then resolved to marry her within the month if given time to prepare. After Gui Xiao fell asleep, he went to the garage in the middle of the night to work on a car. The security guard, puzzled by his routine, asked why he always worked on cars. Yan Chen simply replied, "For 2 reasons, whether I'm happy or unhappy." He even took the guard under his wing, teaching him some repair skills. The next day, he informed Gui Xiao that he would be away for a month. Gui Xiao sighed, reflecting on the challenges of being a police officer's wife. Nevertheless, she wholeheartedly supported him, knowing that sharing him with the country was a sacrifice she willingly made. Meanwhile, Gui Xiao's father asked her to help arrange a calm discussion with Gui Xiao's mother, hoping to mend their relationship. She declined, respecting her mother's autonomy. She explained that while people could make mistakes, and forgiveness wasn't impossible, her mother had her own perspective, and Gui Xiao wouldn't interfere. Overhearing Gui Xiao's conversation with her father, Yan Chen suggested visiting her family. He believed marriage was a serious matter and wanted to meet her parents. Later, Yan Chen received a call from Xiao Shan and hurried over, only to find his father causing trouble. His mother had confronted him about another woman, and his father argued that he had only reconciled with her for the children's sake. It was not until Yan Chen shouted loudly that the father left. Yan Chen spoke to his mother privately, reminding her that she had only remarried for the children's sake and urging her to consider whether she wanted to continue living this way. He encouraged her to think about herself, pointing out that she was still young and had a long life ahead. Though his mother was hesitant, unable to let go, he and his siblings couldn't force her decision. The next morning, Yan Chen left early for his training mission. Despite their temporary separation, they worked hard, holding on to their determination to build a future together. Meanwhile, her boss seemed somewhat preoccupied with her relationship with Yan Chen. However, she quickly drew a line, as she preferred not to discuss personal matters with others. Recently, Gui Xiao felt unwell with a slight cold, and some investment projects hadn't been progressing smoothly. However, for Gui Xiao, the bottom line in life mattered more than any project. She visited the hospital for a checkup and was handed her test results. To her surprise, the doctor informed her that she might be pregnant. She was thrilled and overwhelmed. She thought about sharing the news with Yan Chen via WeChat but hesitated. Instead, she sent him a playful message. Blushing, she rolled on the bed, her heart full of excitement. Seeing the message, Yan Chen couldn't help but laugh. He quickly took a shower and rushed back to Beijing. When he arrived, Gui Xiao held his hand and told him she had bought a lot of ingredients for him to cook a dish she loved. While rummaging through Yanqin's pocket, she found a ring. Noticing that he was already wearing its pair on his hand, she was delighted and couldn't stop admiring it. Unable to hold back her excitement, she blurted out she might be pregnant. Yanqin froze for a moment, then pulled Gui Xiao to the living room for a serious conversation. He hugged her tightly in joy but suddenly realized that he had not turned off the stove. Then they decided to the hospital the next day for confirmation. After Gui Xiao fell asleep, Yanqin gently tucked her in and went to the rooftop for fresh air. His joy was evident. He decided to go for a walk. The next day, they went to the hospital for a checkup, being extra cautious to ensure she didn't trip or bump into anything. Fortunately, the doctor confirmed that the baby was healthy. Yanqin planned to return to his team to sort out the marriage procedures while Gui Xiao and Zhao Shan started planning the wedding banquet. Meanwhile, Yanqin received an assignment order to Qinning. Although Mingyu initially volunteered to go in his place, the team in Qinning was short-staffed, leaving Yanqin with no choice but to accept. He postponed discussing the wedding plans for the time being. Back in their neighborhood, Yanqin ran into his apprentice and handed him a business card for a local repair shop, suggesting he learn car maintenance there. That evening, Lu Yanqin cooked a lavish meal for Gui Xiao and Xiao Nan. His gaze never left her the entire time. He broke the news that he would have to leave for Qinning for a month. Though reluctant, Gui Xiao was understanding. The following day, she clung to Yanqin, reluctant to let him go. After watching her fall asleep again, he quietly left and reminded Xiao Nan to help care for the household. After leaving, Gui Xiao stood in the empty kitchen, lost in thoughts of him. The flight was delayed by 2 hours. Yanqin immediately asked the driver to drop him off, claiming he had forgotten something. He called Gui Xiao, instructing her to come downstairs with her ID card and household registration book and to wear something nice. The civil affairs office opened at 8:30 a.m., and he wanted them to be the first couple to register their marriage. At the civil affairs office, they encountered Gui Xiao's older aunt, who worked there, and her younger brother. Her brother initially thought they had come to mediate a family issue involving their parents, only to be surprised by the news of their marriage. Seeing a line forming, Gui Xiao's brother stepped in to negotiate with the couple ahead, apologetically cutting in line for them. After taking wedding photos and undergoing a marriage health check, they finally received their marriage certificates. After registering their marriage, Yanqin, clutching the certificate, couldn't stop smiling all the way. During lunch, he ran several miles up a mountain to call Gui Xiao. He mentioned that sudden issues might delay his return, but their call was abruptly cut off due to poor signal. Frustrated, Gui Xiao took a break and drove to visit him, inviting Duan Ru along. After a moment of hesitation, Duan Ru agreed. Gui Xiao called Yanqin back, informing him of her plan to visit next week. He barely had time to protest before losing signal again. Excited, he bounced back to his car. Gui Xiao and Duan Ru set out on a road trip to Gongai. Coincidentally, Mingyu, who was on leave, also joined them, giving Duan Ru a chance to meet him. When Duan Ru exited the car, Mingyu instantly recognized her and became so nervous that he stumbled over his words. Gui Xiao insisted that Mingyu and Duan Ru ride together in the same car, prompting Yanqin to tease him for being so flustered. Having not seen each other for over a month, Gui Xiao couldn't take her eyes off Yanqin as he drove. On the other hand, the atmosphere between Mingyu and Duan Ru was tense. Duan Ru, who wasn't talking much, revealed that she had a sore throat. Distracted, he accidentally took a wrong turn. Once they reached the town, they went to a restaurant. While Yanqin went to order food, she eagerly gossiped about Mingyu and Duan Ru. Compared to Duan Ru, Mingyu seemed overly reserved. When asked about his past marriage, he explained it resulted from a blind date, leading to a rushed and emotionless union due to a lack of romantic experience. Yanqin stepped in to defend Mingyu, adding that he deeply appreciated Duan Ru for helping him raise his child. Yanqin and Gui Xiao proposed splitting into separate tables, reasoning that they needed quality time together after so long apart. Peeking over at the other table, he noted that Mingyu seemed entirely under Duan Ru's spell, resting her head on his shoulder. Gui Xiao teased him, regretting not meeting him when he first returned years ago, saying she would have pinned him to the bed if she had. Later at the hotel, Yanqin tenderly washed Gui Xiao's hands and feet, reminiscing about their early days. When Mingyu arrived and accidentally witnessed Yanqin washing Gui Xiao's feet, he was so startled he immediately backed out of the room, unsure of how to interact with Duan Ru. Mingyu hesitated about what to buy for her room. However, she wasn't bothered, so he suggested she take her on a tour of Chinning, hoping to enjoy the country's scenery along the way. They came across a camel rental stop, and Duan-ru decided to rent one, asking him to lead it while she learned to ride. Despite his reserved nature, Mingyu handled the situation with care, treating her respectfully. Mingyu admitted to Yanchen that he liked Duan-ru but felt unworthy of her. On the other hand, Gui Xiao encouraged Duan-ru, sharing that one of her intentions for this trip was to create an opportunity for the two to bond. The group visited a glass skywalk. Yanchen cautiously helped Gui Xiao across while Duan-ru, afraid of heights, hesitated to step on. Emboldened, she challenged herself by attempting the suspension bridge, the most intimidating part of the attraction. In the middle of the bridge, they look at the stunning scenery on either side. The breathtaking views sparked an emotional connection between them. They decided to camp out and the group noticed the dynamic between Mingyu and Duan-ru. Teasing them knowingly, Yanchen and Gui Xiao quietly enjoyed their own time together. Despite his typically reticent demeanor, Yanchen wasn't shy about expressing affection through actions. The next day, Duan-ru asked Mingyu to take her to the train station. Whatever she wanted to eat or drink, he eagerly paid for it. Meanwhile, upon hearing that Duan-ru was at the train station, Gui Xiao expressed a desire to take a train to Chinning. Without hesitation, Yan Chen bought 2 tickets and accompanied her. It had been a long time since they had taken a train together, and she enjoyed the experience immensely. In the next compartment, a loving elderly couple added to the heartwarming atmosphere. Mingyu and Yanchen returned to their team, while Gui Xiao spent her time chatting with Duan-ru, who seemed genuinely happy during this trip. However, Mingyu still harbored feelings of inadequacy, believing he wasn't good enough for Duan-ru, though he acknowledged she was an exceptional woman. As Gui Xiao and Duan-ru prepared to leave the next day, Yanchen visited Gui Xiao late at night. Meanwhile, Mingyu asked Duan-ru if she wouldn't be returning to Chinning again. Her response was vague, saying Chinning was a beautiful place and she might return someday. Duan-ru invited Mingyu to her room for a chat. During their chat, Mingyu offered to massage Duan-ru's back, knowing she had issues with it. He saw it as a small way to repay her for helping care for Xiao Nan. However, she brushed it off, insisting that true friends didn't keep track of debts. The following day, Gui Xiao and Yanchen kissed deeply. Reluctant to part, Yanchen and Mingyu sent off 2 girls. Back at the team base, Yanchen chatted about their views on love with their senior. Old Shen praised Yanchen for marrying such a wonderful wife. Before heading out for a mission, he even promised to treat him to a feast upon his return. However, while eating mutton, Yanchen suddenly heard the sound of an explosion. An ambulance took Old Shen away, and soon after, Yanchen received news of his passing. The promise of a meal together had turned into an eternal farewell. Overwhelmed with grief, Yanchen ran to the town center and called Gui Xiao. He immediately knew she had caught a cold just from hearing her voice. He was planning to return home this week, and Gui Xiao was caught off guard by this sudden surprise. Quickly scrambling to prepare for his return, the police force's joint task was wrapping up, and Yanchen was heading back. As Old Shen, who had no children, had passed away, and he wanted to pay his respects. Before heading to Beijing, he stopped by Chinning to visit his old team members, who still held him in great esteem. Gui Xiao made noodles for Xiao Nan, then took him to a relative's home before meeting Yan Chen's mother. Just then, Gui Xiao received a call from Yanchen's sister, who was overwhelmed as her husband was on a business trip. The kids needed care, and Yan Chen's mother was ill. She asked Gui Xiao for help. It turned out that Yan Chen's mother had been enduring a lot in her marriage, and Gui Xiao's mother could see that. She gently conversed with Yan Chen's mother, offering comfort. The next morning, Yanchen left Chinning and returned to Tianwen. He ran into Gui Xiao's father on the team, who had already heard the news of their marriage. He didn't say much but advised Yanchen to be more cautious on missions now that he had a family. Back home, Gui Xiao immediately rushed over to him, even following him into the bathroom. She finally told him about his mother's condition. Yanchen didn't want Gui Xiao to meet his father, so he didn't ask her to come home with him. Citing the same reason as before, he didn't want her to feel uncomfortable. Gui Xiao's parents met again to discuss their divorce, which was likely their final meeting. For Gui Xiao's mother, it marked a farewell to the past. Gui Xiao's father signed the divorce papers, and her mother finally attained the freedom she sought. He let out a heavy sigh, reminiscing about their earlier, penniless days. As people age, they often cling to memories of the past. But Gui Xiao's mother preferred to look forward. Free-spirited and transparent, she assured him that their divorce wouldn't stir up any scandal for his publicly listed company. Meanwhile, Yanchen returned to the repair shop, where his mother had been staying for several days. He drafted a divorce agreement, believing that his mother should make her own decisions about her marriage. However, his constant rush and work obligations saddened his mother, who wished he could be home more often. He informed her that he and Gui Xiao were officially married and had built their own family, which brought her immense relief. After dinner, he went to see his father. When his father saw that his mother had signed the divorce agreement, he was unexpectedly calm. Yanchen urged him to make a decisive move and not let years of shared history deteriorate into resentment. His father agreed to discuss the matter with his mother and even expressed interest in meeting Gui Xiao. He had heard from Yanchen's sister that Gui Xiao was a good person and hadn't complained during Yanchen's time away. After the meal, Yanchen's father left with rare composure to talk to his mother, seemingly starting to see things more clearly. In an unusual moment of introspection, he admitted that he had not treated her well over their many years of marriage, and she had endured a lot by being with him. He proposed not to divorce, suggesting they live together peacefully. With her continuing to manage the household, Lu's mother's eyes turned red. Her mood visibly lightened. With family matters resolved, Yanchen and Gui Xiao began their peaceful life together. Their brief separation had made them cherish their reunion even more. Gui Xiao woke up from a dream where Yanchen had left, startling her. The dream felt eerily real as he was indeed about to go again, though he promised to return by the weekend. As her pregnancy progressed, she found herself becoming more attached to Yanchen, struggling to let him go even for short periods. When Gui Xiao's mother met Lu's parents for the first time, she was far more composed than Gui Xiao expected. The meeting went smoothly, and when Yanchen heard the news, he was relieved. A significant step closer to familial harmony had been achieved. A few months later, Yanchen returned to Qining to prepare for a classified mission with an uncertain timeline. They spoke on the phone whenever possible, but an urgent call interrupted one such conversation. A business owner had reported a potential explosive device, and Yanchen rushed to the scene. At the site, he strictly enforced security protocols, ensuring no unauthorized personnel entered. However, someone attempting to defuse the bomb remained inside. As he entered to locate them, the device detonated. Mingyu, who had been nearby, was injured but thankfully survived. He was rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery. While waiting for news about his friend, Yanchen received a message from Gui Xiao about her upcoming prenatal checkup. Her delivery was just a month away, but he couldn't leave his duties. Gui Xiao noticed that Duan Ru seemed troubled and asked if everything was okay. Worried about her, Mingyu chose not to disclose the full extent of his injuries. After checking Mingyu's condition with the doctor, Yanchen quickly returned to his unit to continue his mission. On his way, he messaged Gui Xiao, informing her of his departure. Gui Xiao reminded him to stay safe. As she approached her due date, Yanchen was immersed in a dangerous, classified mission, unable to return home or provide details. At her next prenatal checkup, the doctor advised her to be admitted to the hospital that afternoon, leaving her no choice but to entrust Xiao Nan to Haidong's care. Gui Xiao braced herself, knowing that Yanchen wouldn't be by her when their child arrived. She remained resilient, balancing her fears with her trust in his eventual return. As Gui Xiao prepared to sleep, her father unexpectedly arrived with alarming news. Yanchen had been injured on duty and was undergoing emergency treatment. Her father explained that he wouldn't have told her unless it was absolutely necessary. Stunned, Gui Xiao was urged to stay calm, as such situations were not uncommon for the wife of a police officer. The next morning, she, with red eyes from a sleepless night, set out for Qining with her father and Dr. Shu. Dr. Shu tried to reassure her, suggesting that Yanchen might already be awake by the time they arrived. Upon reaching Qining, however, Gui Xiao began experiencing labor pains. It seemed her baby was ready to arrive. Before being rushed to the maternity ward, Gui Xiao insisted on seeing Yanchen. Dressed in protective gear, she entered the ICU. Seeing him lying unconscious, she broke down, sobbing uncontrollably as she spoke to him. Gui Xiao whispered through her tears, begging him to wake up for the sake of their soon-to-be-born child. Remarkably, tears rolled down Yanchen's cheeks as though he could hear her. Gui Xiao was eventually escorted back to the delivery room, where Dr. Shu worked closely with the local medical team. Outside the room, Gui Xiao's father nervously updated her mother about the situation. In a moment of poetic fate, as Gui Xiao gave birth to their child, Yanchen opened his eyes since the accident. When Gui Xiao finally met her newborn daughter, she also received the joyful news of Yanchen's recovery. Dr. Xu soon arrived with a wheelchair, ready to take Gui Xiao to visit her husband. Nervous as always, Gui Xiao couldn't help but feel her heart race. Every meeting with Yanchen still made her shy. Even after all they had been through. Leaning gently against Yanchen's pillow, she kissed him. Their silence spoke volumes. Gui Xiao's journey in Qining earned her the title of a hero's wife, a bittersweet honor that came with immeasurable emotional weight. Despite the twists and turns, their story had reached a happy conclusion. They were married and had a child. 2 years later, Gui Xiao visited Zhaoshan for a nostalgic gathering while Yanchen spent time with his teammates. The next morning, dressed in a sharp suit, Yanchen led his groomsmen to fetch his bride. Upon arriving at Zhaoshan's home, they found an unusual sight. No one was blocking their way. And the door was wide open. From the balcony, Zhaoshan called down, explaining that since marrying Gui Xiao had been no easy feat for Yanchen, no one dared to give him trouble today. He eagerly climbed the stairs and found Gui Xiao sitting on the bed, radiant in her wedding dress. Her smile lit up the room, and Yanchen's heart overflowed. Without hesitation, he scooped her into his arms and carried her to the wedding car. Together, they were the picture of a perfect match, beauty and elegance paired with strength and determination. Their love, rooted in the innocence of youth, had withstood the tests of time and circumstance, ultimately leading them to a future filled with hope and happiness. This marks the happy ending of drama. If you'd like to see more dramas like this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and let us know in the comments how you liked this drama.